Good morning, it's Beth from Ruth Stitchery and ruthstitchery.com, and I'm super excited to have some special guests this morning. We have invited a few people from Who Gives a Scrap to come and talk about what their store is. You know, we know that our customers are predominantly quilters, but they also do a lot of other crafts, and we know that there are a lot of other stores in our community that are creative and aren't just quilting. There are all kinds of crafts, and we thought, you know what, let's collaborate with them. Let's get it out there to all our customers what it is that they do. So I want to introduce you to Sally and Paula, and they're here this morning from Who Gives a Scrap, and I just want to turn it over to you guys and tell us, what is it that you guys do? Tell us about your store. When did you get started?
So we are we have a creative reuse center, and we're down on South 8th Street. We're 12,000 square feet.
Oh my
and
gosh.
what happens is if you've gone through a project and you didn't like it, or you only got halfway through it and you couldn't finish it, then you just donate it to us. So we're like a Goodwill or an ARC of arts and crafts supplies. And we turn
awesome.
around and sell it on pennies for the dollar back into the community. We also have some artist studios, and we also have a couple of classrooms. And Paula is one of our 41 volunteers, I think, and we have 9 staff, so we mostly rely on little old ladies. I know we're not supposed to say little or old ladies, but that's what we call you in private, Paula.
That is what everybody thinks. Like, if you go, oh, I'm a quilter. I'm like, wait, isn't that little old ladies?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
no, it's not little old ladies.
We're probably about the same age, right? Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. You might be younger than me.
I'm way older than both of you.
So we rely on our volunteers. They come in and sort through all of our things and put them out on the floor. Paula likes to roll fabric. She likes to pocket some of the good fabric, and we sell it for like $3 a yard.
Your basic cotton that is very similar to what you have here is $3 a yard, and we have also this is especially fun for quilters, is that we have what we call fabric folds. So they're rarely a nice piece of cut. It's like sometimes we get
Somebody's
pieces
taking
like
a
this
chunk
and somebody
out of
went
it.
like that. And so, but they're sold for $1. So for $1, and as you know, when you're quilting, sometimes you don't need 6 yards.
Right.
So that's really fun, and my passion is fabric. I admit it. So it's always fun when I'm putting fabric out, and I'll see somebody in the room, and I'll say, "Can I help you?" And they'll say, "Well, this is what I'm looking for." And a couple times this has happened, where they say, "I just need a piece, yay big, but this is what I need." And I say, "Let me go through our stuff in the back that hasn't been processed." And it happened twice. It was exactly what they looked for.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and it's also fun. I've had a couple people come in saying, "I used to sew in the past. I'm going to start again." I said, "Oh, you're in the right place." Because we have needles, we have thread, we have bobbins, and patterns that are a quarter. So if you've been to the other Joann's or Hobby Lobby, you know that the price of patterns is like sky high, even with their sales. So
Yeah.
We have the fabric room. We have the book room. We have a vintage section. We have, of course, the adult art supplies, the kids art supplies. We have the floral section. Just about anything you can imagine that's at an arts and crafts store, we have it, plus some.
yes. Plus we have a vintage section, because what happens is when people, Aunt Emma or Grandma has passed away, and so they want to get rid of their stuff, they'll say, "Let's put this in there." They'll never notice. And so we have a lovely vintage section, and plus we have stuff that is donated to us that's worth a decent amount of money. We also have an Etsy site, so where people can go and bid on stuff on Etsy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And actually, if they get something on Etsy, I believe you get a $5 coupon if you come to the store and pick it up versus mailing it. So.
And like she was saying, is that when anybody comes in the store, we ultimately gravitate toward them, welcome them into our little community,
Yeah.
and they're friends right away. We want to we're not just a place to buy stuff or to do your, what's it called when you need a little high from your shopping and you need shopping therapy.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So you come in and it's just a warm experience. And if you're having
Retail therapy.
you
There you
come
go.
in,
There you go.
you're having a bad day and you just mosey around, and we try to make it like Las Vegas. You don't know where the exits are. There are no clocks,
Yeah.
and we just want you in there
I love it.
to look around, get your fix, and you might just leave spending 50 cents or something.
Yeah.
And then we just try to get you involved.
Well,
perhaps if
I
you want
love
to be
that
a
you
volunteer.
mentioned that, because I was just telling LQ that yesterday we had a class going on, and a customer came in who was not in the class but knew the class was going on, and she walked back, and when I walked in there were these beautiful quilt blocks up on our design wall. And when I walked in, Rosemary, who was teaching the class, she said, "Look at these blocks. You know, the customer brought them in. They got them at Who Gives a Scrap."
Yeah!
And I was like, "Score!" Because they were blocks that were already put together. They just weren't in a quilt.
Yeah.
And so they threw them up on the design wall to try to figure out how to put them together. Right. And so as I was standing there and we were looking at the blocks, another customer who was sitting there said, "Yeah, I met her at Who Gives a Scrap, who then told me to come here." And I just thought, we're interviewing them tomorrow. Like, this is, it's that the universe sending out signals
That's
to us all the time. But when you say creatively saving the planet, I know that goes back to recycling. Like,
Yes.
don't just throw the stuff away.
Mhm.
So is that something that was was that the premise behind Lori starting Who Gives a Scrap? Do
It
you
was.
know?
So 8 years ago, Lori was retiring. She was working in the teaching field. She was she was an admin or something. And so she retired and she wanted something to do. And she found this store down in Austin, and they were taking stuff, and they had made a creative reuse center. So we started one here because we just needed it. All this stuff was going into the garbage. And imagine your mother has spent how much time looking for the perfect pattern or the perfect fabric. And then she kept it in a box, and then she had dreams for it. And then she transferred it when she moved, and she put it in another tub, and she said, "Oh, one day I'm going to do something with it."
Right.
And then unfortunately
Wait,
she
this is
passes
sounding
away.
really familiar. I'm thinking I do that all the time.
So when the kids come and they're mourning and they're saying, "Oh, I remember Mom really wanted to do something like this," or she was going to make this little baby outfit for my daughter or something, and she never finished it. So instead of just throwing it away, we bring it to our store, and we care for it, and we know that there was some thought put into it.
Right.
So not only keeping it out of the trash, but keeping that memory alive.
Yeah. Oh, I just think that that's incredibly awesome. It kind of gets me a little choked
Yeah, so
up.
I got
because-
a quilt top from someone at Sioux, and it was not finished, but it was put together. And I have a friend in California who I visit who's a quilter. I'm not a quilter. So I took it to her, and so she did the backing. Then she has somebody who does the quilting, and it is so impressive because all the detailed work is hand embroidered. And it's like the other day there was a woman in the fabric room going through these quilt squares, and I'm not quite sure what you call them, but they're octagons. And there was and she was going through, and she was picking, and when we looked at them, and behind, they were all hand stitched.
Yeah.
And they were perfect. That's why I don't quilt.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
You had talked about in one of your interviews when you were introducing yourself that you remember that quilt of your husband's when he was gone,
Yep.
and how you remember exactly the conversations that you were
Yep.
having with that
Yep.
group. And I assume that that's kind of what quilting is about.
Yep.
I'm more of a painter or whatnot, but so I guess that's
Right.
why people get into quilting.
Well, I think so, and I think no matter what craft you do, I just think if you live in a creative world, which I kind of feel like I live in a creative world. I love paper. I'm obsessed with scrapbook paper, but I don't scrapbook. But I don't know what it is.
I know. I
So
get
you
it.
just
It's
collect
awful.
it.
I collect the paper. I don't
Me
know.
too.
It's
You
just,
too?
It's
No.
pretty things.
No.
It's just if you live in a creative world, no matter what it is that you do, whether you're a painter or a quilter, there are certain projects that you work on that I think can be very nostalgic, can be very heartfelt. You know, you're making it, I mean, everything you make for a purpose, but sometimes the purpose is a little bit closer to your heart. And so I think that is true. I mean, we hear so many stories. Our customers come in and they've got either something they've made or someone that made it for them, or it's grandma's, or it's my mom's, and we found it in a bag in a closet.
Yeah.
And I just love that there's always a story, you know, and whether we know the full story, you can always look at something, whether it's a painting or a quilt or something, and you know there's a story behind it. I just think it's fantastic that you are giving families and just people in general that opportunity to not just throw it away and know that that legacy is going to live on, whether people know the entire story or not. Maybe they're going to make their own story for it, you know, which I think is fantastic. Yeah.
It's not just recycling the material, but it's also recycling that memory.
Absolutely. I love that. So you mentioned you have some classrooms. So what kind of classes do you guys do?
There's ballet, there's
Oh my gosh.
belly dancing, there's yoga, and you know, it's funny that we don't have any sewing classes, so we just send them to different places around
Yeah.
town. And so we ourselves don't put out any classes. Sometimes I teach some kids classes when they're out of school to make sure that the parents don't go crazy, but otherwise we don't do any of our classes. We invite people to come in and use the spaces.
That's so great. And they're fairly large spaces?
They
So
are
if it was a
large
group
spaces.
that wanted to come in? Okay.
Absolutely, we can. One of the rooms I think can house 36, and the other one I think is like 27 or something. One's a super messy room, and one is a clean one that Lori lets no one, even if you have a little bit of Kool-Aid with you, you're not allowed in that room because it's got some nice wood floors in there and some mirrors.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
One of the rooms that we're gonna, this is a segue into a pitch here, is we are gonna have our 8-year anniversary on November 1st.
Yep.
It's a Wednesday, so take the day off of work and come over. We're just gonna eat cake, and we're gonna just spend the day getting high on sugar and coming down and shopping and sugar and shopping and just celebrating our community, because we are obviously more than just us.
Yeah, well, and it's such a welcoming place. Every a couple of weeks ago, we had a brunch with the volunteers, and Sally said, put out. She wanted 3 things that you like about the store and that you feel. And one of the things Chris and I were talking about, and she's our welcoming person up front. She's perfect for it. Is that we talked about everybody's welcome. There is, you know, you're talking about the old ladies, and you know, we just said because many of us are older, we never feel like you can't do this because of your age. I mean, and we also said it was a safe place, a welcoming place, an absolute fun place, and everybody gets, you know, and we all get along, and it's just we do laughing, and it's just a fun place.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I just love it. So my final question to you guys is, you mentioned that you take donations. So let everybody know, like, how can they donate to you? What does that process look like?
It starts with hanging a bag by your front door.
Yeah.
And
or box.
yes, and you're like, I need to get this glitter out of this house. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm worried that somebody's going to knock it over. So you put it in the bag. You bring it to us Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 4. We take donations.
Right.
Bigger donations, you have to schedule an appointment on Monday, and we don't take appointments on Sunday so we can catch up from the week. So come to our building and then go around to the back. There's a big purple door, and you just donate it, and we'll take care of it and spin it back around and put it back in the community. And what a lot of people do is they'll donate it. They said, I haven't used this in 20 years. Here you go. Here's my fabric. And then a week later, they'll think, I really want that fabric. And so they'll come back in and they'll buy it again.
Yep.
That's great. That's just awesome.
And the thing is, too, is what I tell people is that if you think about, they're going to ban me from Joann's, by the way. If you're thinking about doing a craft, because this is a perfect example. There was a woman in Joann's, she was looking at the yarn, and I said, can I help you? And she said, well, I haven't knitted for a while, and I want to start again. And I said, and I always carry a card in my pocket. So I said, here, you know, we have books, we have needles, and we have yarn. So for 10 cents on the dollar, you can come and get great quality yarn, you can get books, and you get needled for a minimal investment. So if you start and you think, hey, I want to continue this, then you can either use our resources or some of the others. And I said, and if you don't, you can just give it back to us, and you don't have a large monetary investment.
Yeah, that's great. I tell my beginner quilters all the time, like I tell you them, it's like the warning sign from the Surgeon General.
Yeah.
Like, this hobby is expensive.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you that up front. And so I tell them I don't expect them to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm like, you've got to figure out if you like this craft. And why invest all this money if it's not something that you're going to enjoy. So figure out if you enjoy it first, and and then I'm just telling you up front, it can be an expensive hobby. I think that's true with no matter what creative outlet you have. It can become an expensive hobby. So I love that there is a place where someone who wants to try something out can try it out without a huge investment. And it's helping in the cause of, recycling it back into our community.
How many tons have we saved from the landfill?
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that. It's like bigger than a Boeing 757.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes,
250 tons.
I think the last I
300
saw was
tons?
270 tons.
270
And
tons.
I don't know when that was updated, so we could be up to 300.
That's a whole lot of elephants.
Yes.
It's
That's
probably
incredible.
mostly fabric.
Yeah. Well, guys, this has been fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming
No, you're welcome.
and enjoying us in our little videos that we have become to love doing.
And if Who Gives the Scrappers are watching this, I know a lot of you are fans of this store, so I'll get a bunch of autographs and bring them back to the store for you, okay?
You're too kind. So I know you have watched some of our videos, and so have you. So if you have seen any of our staff interview videos, we always do a rapid fire at the end.
Oh.
And so we thought we'd do rapid fire with the two of you.
Here we go.
So basically what I'm going to do is throw out two things, and without giving it much thought, just yell out what your preference is between the two items.
Okay.
Okay? It's not hard. Trust me. Ready?
Ford.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Sweet.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Mountains. Mountain beach.
Mountain beach. Well, so you were right on until that one. Okay, dog or cat?
Cat. Well, we're not going to the beach together.
Stay in or go out?
Stay in.
Stay in.
And do art projects
Yeah.
with my
So,
cat.
And finally, books or TV?
Books.
A made for movie TV. Yeah.
You like TV?
Yeah, TV.
TV.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm right down the middle. I'm loving. I love reading, but I watch a lot of TV too.
I know.
Well, thank you guys again so much, Sally and Paula from Who Gives a Scrap. Please go visit their store. I know you've probably heard us in the past. They say, "Oh, I have fabric to donate," and usually, Who Gives a Scrap is one of the options we give them. Along with the guilds in town that with charity groups.
We also support them.
Yes.
Yes. So please go visit them, and thank you guys again so much for coming in early today and doing this video
Thank
with
you.
us.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you
So much.